The night was still when she spoke the words. Go on then, move out. See if it makes a difference. Her tone was steady, unshaken, sharp with the certainty of someone convinced they held the upper hand. She expected me to resist, to argue, to crumble and crawl back, starving for whatever scraps of affection she tossed my way. But I didn't. In silence I packed. The sound of the zipper tearing through the quiet felt louder than her voice. She stood there, waiting for the show she believed would follow, rage, tears, desperate pleading. I gave her nothing. Only the click of the door closing behind me, carrying a silence heavier than any fight could have been. Later that night, when my phone lit up with her father's number, I nearly let it ring out. Nearly. But curiosity drew me in. His voice thundered through the speaker, broken with disbelief. Do you know what he just did? I stayed quiet. I didn't need to answer, because by then the truth no longer weighed me down. It had reshaped itself inside me, coiled tight like a weapon ready to strike. And she had no idea what I had already set into motion. It hadn't started that night. It began weeks earlier, with details too small to ignore. The secretive texts she angled her phone away to hide. The sudden bursts of laughter she couldn't explain. The faint trace of cologne on her clothes, one that wasn't mine. I told myself I was imagining it, that suspicion was eating away at me. But denial doesn't erase the truth, it only delays its arrival. Then came the night I reached for her hand in bed, and she flinched. Not from disgust, no, it was guilt. Her eyes darted away before mine could hold them. I knew. But knowing wasn't enough. Not for me. Proof. That was the ammunition I needed. Not to shout, not to fight, but to be precise. To strike only when I had the blade in my hand. Her words, go ahead, move out, were never a dismissal. They were a confession, delivered by someone who believed the game was fixed in her favor. She thought she had every piece in place. She thought I was still stumbling in the dark. But I had already begun to see. After that, I moved differently. Quiet. Calculated. While she slept, I combed through her phone. Deleted messages restored. Cloud backups unlocked. Everything she thought hidden was already mine. The messages were shallow, empty flattery, late-night longing, hollow promises of soon. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I read every word with a steady hand, engraving them into memory like a surgeon dissecting flesh. And I went further. Phone logs, bank statements, hotel bookings. Every strand of her deceit. I pulled loose until the entire web collapsed, leaving her bare inside the truth she wove. Yet I stayed silent. I smiled at breakfast, kissed her cheek before work, played the role of the blind husband. She thought she was controlling. All while the evidence stacked higher and higher. A fortress of truth waiting for the moment I would open the gates. I wasn't preparing for confrontation. I was preparing for silence. The kind that suffocates more than screams ever could. 2 days after I left, the test results arrived. Not just her messages, not just her lies, but the truth she could never rewrite. Blood. DNA. The child she swore was mine wasn't. I didn't storm in with the papers. I didn't demand answers. One evening, I simply laid the envelope on the counter and asked one question. Who's the father? Her face shattered. The arrogance that once defined her broke apart instantly. Denial tried to rise, but the papers crushed it. She cried. She begged. She scrambled for explanations. I listened, cold and unmoved. Every tear was a blade dulled against my composure. I didn't argue. I didn't curse. I let her drown in her own undoing while I stood untouched at the edge of the wreckage. That night, I walked away. Not in silence, though. I left the papers where they would be found by the one man whose judgment she feared most, her father. He admired me, respected me, believed I was the anchor she clung to. And when he saw the truth, his fury wasn't mine, it was his. Days later, I heard his voice echoing through her door, a storm unleashed. Do you know what he just did? Do you have any idea what he walked away from? She thought his anger would be aimed at me. Instead, every word cut into her. I didn't stay to listen. I didn't need to. I had already won. Now when I think of her, I feel nothing. No anger. No longing. No loss. She gambled with betrayal and expected me to break. Instead, I went all in, and left with the only thing that mattered. Myself. She remains buried in the ruins of her choices. Abandoned by the man she betrayed me for. Condemned by the father who once defended her. And I? I walk forward unchained. The silence I carry now isn't heavy. It's sharp. Refined. A blade forged from her lies. I left her with nothing, and reclaimed everything. Final line. She told me to move out, expecting I'd beg. I moved out, and left her begging for the rest of her life.